I'm Andrew Seeley, and straight ahead, I'll tell you all about funding for the Morgantown Fire Department.
I'm Taylor Eaton, and straight ahead on WVU News, I'll tell you why taking out your trash could save you hundreds.
I'm Maggie Klenko, and straight ahead on WVU News, I'll tell you why the findings of one cancer study is causing concern among doctors and women across the country.
I'm Lauren Procopio, and coming up, I'll tell you what journalists are saying about how the media covered the chemical spill in the Elk River. Our award-winning WVU newscast starts now.
The chemical spill in Charleston is being named the biggest drinking water contamination in our country's history. Find out what's being done to protect your water and West Virginia's future. I'm Andrew Seeley.
And I'm Victoria Licata. Findings of a long-term study question whether or not mammogram screenings can prevent cancer or even save lives. You're watching WVU News, an award-winning newscast produced by television journalism students at West Virginia University.
It's been over 2 months since Freedom Industries leaked toxic chemicals into the Elk River and left 300,000 people in southern West Virginia unable to use their water for days.
The spill and its repercussions remain big topics of conversation within the state. Government reporter Lauren Procopio is here to tell us more. Lauren.
Thanks, Andrew and Victoria. The chemical leak in Charleston is the largest tap water contamination in our country's history. With West Virginia's future in mind, state officials and educators are working hard to improve the way West Virginia's water is regulated. Members of the media have been busy since the spill as well. Journalists are coming together to discuss media coverage during and after the water crisis. I attended a panel discussion right here at WVU and caught up with some of our state's best journalists.
We can't rely on the national media to cover events and to talk about important events that matter here locally.
Over 10,000 gallons, the amount of chemicals Freedom Industries leaked into the Elk River over 2 months ago. Journalists from all over the Mountain State recently came together to discuss how the media handled the toxic spill.
National media could do more. I think that any media outlet could have done more reporting. I think that people here expected more from the national media.
Over 300,000 people were affected by the chemical MCHM after it leaked into the Elk River January 9th. And on that day, news anchor April Call found out about the chemical spill through Twitter.
And I really quickly did a refresh on my Twitter feed, and I noticed the governor's tweet, which said, "Emergency, do not," in all capital letters, "use tap water for drinking, cooking, washing, or bathing in Boone, Lincoln, Kanawha, Jackson, Putnam counties, 5:36 p.m. January 9th.
And Call wasn't alone. With Americans sending out 58 million tweets per day, audience member Samson O'Dell noticed the media was able to find a lot of their information from Twitter.
They were talking about being in a newsroom and getting something on Twitter or something like that, and only 10 minutes later they were able to put it on the news.
Twitter is also where many West Virginians formed an opinion about how politicians were dealing with the chemical spill.
To hell with every one of you who decided that making life convenient for businessmen, making life dangerous for us.
And while some believe the local media did a good job taking to Twitter, others felt the national media could have done more.
I think it was neglected on a national level. My parents live in Maryland, which is not far away, and they didn't know anything about it.
The spill forced the West Virginia Congress to pass Senate Bill 317, protecting West Virginia's water supply. The new bill will set requirements for above-ground storage tanks, regulating the amount of chemicals they can hold and making state inspections more consistent. Andrew and Victoria, back to you.
Thanks, Lauren. Firefighters from the 9 counties affected in the water crisis volunteered day and night to provide clean waters to those in need.
That's right, Victoria. Did you know the average cost to train a firefighter is $8,000? I decided to take a look at the Morgantown Fire Department's budget. From new safety devices to new hoses, the Morgantown Fire Department could use a few upgrades. But even with the help of the annual fire service fee, next year's budget doesn't look promising.
Next year's budget for 2014-2015 is pretty close to what the 2012-2013 budget was for Morgantown Fire. And there are no appreciable increases coming in the near future that I'm aware of.
Andrew Dotson has been fighting fires in Morgantown for 9 years and says some of the equipment just isn't up to par.
We get the equipment we need to do our job, but with better equipment we could do our job more efficiently.
To buy the hat I'm wearing costs $300. The coat, $1,200. For the department to outfit just one fireman, it would cost $11,000.
Right now, I do have several pieces of equipment that are older, that need replaced. I am missing a rescue truck that needs replaced. And all in all, I could use $2.5 million worth of equipment today to replace my aging fleet.
The chief says the department doesn't only need new trucks and equipment, but could also use some more manpower. Chief Caravasas says there hasn't been an increase in firefighters since the early 1970s, despite the fact that Morgantown's population has nearly doubled since then.
And the growing number of residents creates another problem for the city: more garbage to pick up. Piles of trash that build up in the snow are now major eyesores here in town. Star City reporter Taylor Eaton found out how garbage piles in your yard could cost you hundreds.
Taking out the trash, it's something that's become an issue here in Morgantown.
I woke up to one of my roommates complaining about how the city posted a note on our door saying that we had too much litter in our front yard.
But unlike other Morgantown residents, Rodriguez decided to clean up.
As broke college kids, a $250 fine for, glass bottles in your front yard isn't really something you want to deal with.
And just like the trash, a fine like this could build up. A citation for litter could cost you anywhere from $50 to $500.
Most of the officers are very proactive in going out to the problem areas, and if there are violations found, then they're issuing citations for it.
Citations can be written for broken trash bags, loose garbage, or overflowing cans. 120 citations were written last year, and over 40 have been written this year so far for people not properly throwing away their garbage. But citations may not be the only effect residents have to worry about. Littering can back up storm drains, harm wildlife, and be a threat to public health. But Sergeant Robinson says it all comes down to one thing.
Use common sense.
It's just that simple. You can avoid getting a fine as long as your trash can is on the curb before pickup with the lid on, and your yard is free of garbage.
To find out what day trash pickup is in your area, you can visit the website at the bottom of your screen.
WVU's academics are finally receiving the credit they deserve. 4 of the university's colleges have been ranked among the top programs in their field. U.S. News recently released its list of top grad school programs in the nation. WVU's College of Law and the College of Education and Human Services each had programs ranked in the top of their departments, while online programs in business and economics and education schools broke the list of top 40. These rankings come at a valuable time for the university as it seeks reaccreditation this calendar year.
Findings from a Canadian study show mammograms may not be as effective as once thought.
Health reporter Megu Kalenko joins us now at the anchor desk to tell us more about the study and what it means for the future of healthcare. Megu?
Thanks, Andrew and Victoria. For years now, doctors have been recommending that women over the age of 40 get mammograms in an attempt to detect breast cancer. But a recent 25-year-long study is questioning the effectiveness of mammograms.
We do know that mammograms save lives.
Mammograms have been around since the 1950s, but results from a 25-year-long study involving nearly 90,000 women say that mammograms have no effect on the mortality rate from breast cancer. Local breast cancer survivor Lisa Dandy says that when it comes to mammograms, it's better to be safe than sorry.
It does show something. It did for me, okay, and it has for others. Okay, I think that at this point in time, until they come up with something totally better, they need to keep it going.
But a study in the British Medical Journal says otherwise. This study says that women aged 40 to 59 found no benefit for them. In fact, of the 90,000 women in the study, the difference between those who received a mammogram and died from breast cancer and those who did not have a mammogram and died from breast cancer was only 5 women. In the United States, 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer. Therefore, it is recommended starting at the age of 40 that women receive an annual mammogram. Despite the findings of the study, health professionals like Brenda DiBastiana believe that there will be no decline in the average 8,000 mammograms done per year at Mon General Hospital.
I believe that mammograms is very essential. Start at 40 years old, get your mammogram annually. Small changes can be detected, and I think it will save patients' lives.
The findings should not lead to any immediate change in guidelines for mammograms. And for Lisa Dandy, she agrees that early detection is key.
Oftentimes, mammogram screenings are covered by private insurance or Medicare. If you're a woman over 40, talk to a healthcare specialist about what you can do to prevent and detect breast cancer. Andrew and Victoria, back to you.
As nearly 250,000 women are diagnosed with breast cancer every year, it's important to check in with your doctors as research continues.
Coming up next on WVU Sports, Joe Mitchin tells us about Mountaineer football stars looking to make the jump to the big leagues.
I'm Alyssa Hudak, and coming up this week on WVU Sports, I'll tell you how important Pro Day is for a Mountaineer looking to play in the NFL.
We're all different. Our interests, our backgrounds can influence our futures. But without focus, they're just dreams. But what if someone could give your interests life? If they could give your background power? If they could fuel what motivates you? That's what gives dreams meaning, purpose. And perhaps that was the moment you knew you wanted to be a Mountaineer.
Joe, I understand that WVU head football coach Dana Holgerson is looking at one of the best recruiting classes in Mountaineer history.
And I'm looking forward to some new faces on the field. What else can you tell us, Joe?
Well, Victoria and Andrew, the Mountaineers hoping to get drafted to the NFL left it all on the field this pro day. Among those trying out were current Mountaineer Will Clark and former WVU star Noel Devine. A total of 15 Mountaineers came out to WVU's Caperton indoor practice facility hoping to impress NFL scouts. Sports reporter Alyssa Hudak spoke to some of the players looking to make it big.
With over 16 NFL teams being represented at Pro Day, all eyes were on the Mountaineer football players hoping to start an NFL career. Scouts and media all piled into WVU's indoor practice facility to witness one of the biggest days in a college football player's career.
My whole plan was just come out here, have fun, just relax. This is what I've been training for 3 months. It's what I do, so just relax and come out here and have fun.
Only 2 Mountaineers participated in the NFL Combine last month, so for the other players, Pro Day is their best opportunity to get recognized.
So I was very nervous this morning, and seeing all those guys and seeing foreign players come back, it really made you at ease, and you were just rooting for one another. You weren't competing against one another, you were competing against yourself.
During Pro Day, players compete in different events like the 40-yard dash. Last year, WVU receiver Tavon Austin ran one of the fastest, clocked in at 4.25 seconds.
And speaking of speed, former Mountaineer running back Noel Devine came to Pro Day for the second time, looking faster than ever. After spending last year in the Canadian Football League, Devine is hoping to get a shot in the NFL.
This go around, it was better for me mentally and physically. I was mentally prepared and physically prepared as well. Didn't have any injuries, and I trained hard, so hard work pays off. So
the players will see if their hard work pays off when the 2014 NFL Draft begins on May 8th. Alyssa Hudak, WVU Sports, Morgantown.
Last year, both Geno Smith and Tavon Austin were selected in the first 2 rounds of the NFL Draft. There's definitely a buzz around Morgantown to see what Mountaineers will make the cut this spring. Andrew and Victoria, back to you.
There's no doubt that spring is in the air, and the West Virginia Community Choir is getting ready for their big performance.
And this group is excited to be showcasing their talents. From college students to senior citizens, the community choir has 80 members and has been thriving in Morgantown for 40 years. New members are always welcome to join the group that practices once a week at the Creative Arts Center. For anyone interested in seeing the choir perform, their next concert is set for April 15th at the Suncrest United Methodist Church.
It's great to see people in the community come together and share their passions for music.
It certainly is, Andrew, and I love that anybody can join the community choir, no matter their age or experience.
Well, that wraps up this week's edition of WVU News. Be sure to visit us online at our website. You can also watch any of our shows on YouTube.
And don't forget to follow us and our reporters on Twitter. Thanks for watching WVU News. We'll see you next time.